and not natural. It sounds off. The noise led me to the living room. That is where I found my father lying on the couch with a little blood on his nose.
This is Creepy with Coffee.
Hi, welcome back to another episode here on Creepy with Coffee. I am Joachim, better known as Kim. So for today's story, it is entirely up to you, the listeners, to actually think about it, whether it is just pure coincidence or it is something that how our brain manifests into different things. It is creepy nonetheless, but today's story, it's not about seeing apparitions or hearing weird noises. Before we go to today's story, if you have yet to subscribe or follow, do consider subscribing on whichever platform that you are watching this on. Now, let's get on to the story. So for the first story, this is posted by Soggy Broccoli 7881. The story starts like this. It is a tragic and strangest story happened 7 years ago. This is the first time I'm sharing it with someone. I haven't even shared it with my own mother. Year 2017. I returned to my home after 1 year from a university abroad. My father picked me up from the airport and we had dinner at home. Everything was as usual as it could be. I went to bed around 12 p.m. and slept immediately. Then I woke up around 5 a.m. to pee. I went directly to the bathroom, which is in my room, so I didn't step out of my room. Okay, when we are peeing, we usually would think about different things, right? For example, color of the walls or what to eat for breakfast later and so on and so forth. So for this time, out of nowhere, I started thinking, if I were to choose one between my mother or my father being dead, I do not know why. Then I thought my sister would be devastated without my mother, and my father could not handle my sister in her teenage years. Then I decided that absence of my father would be easier than losing my mother, meaning to say that the person who posted this story trying to say that if he or she were to choose between the mother or the father to pass away first, he or she rather have the father to go first. Then I finished peeing and just about to get back to bed, I started hearing a very strong snoring noise. Okay, my father was always snoring since my childhood. However, this time it felt stronger and not natural. It sounds off. The noise led me to the living room. That is where I found my father lying on the couch with a little blood on his nose. I tried to wake him up, but he was unconscious. So I called up emergency, woke my mother up, and once we arrived at the hospital, my father passed. He was 48 years old. And doctors said the cause of death was hemorrhage. We don't know what time it happened. So I'm still confused with the situation. That is when I saw another reply of this particular story by Inalia. Inalia told her story that sounded like this. Kind of like the time as a child I was in my favorite class in school. I looked up at the clock, saw it something like 10:05 a.m. and suddenly thought, what would happen if both my parents were dead? I then had a really clear vision of getting taken out of class, taken to the principal's office, waited for my sister to arrive from her high school, talked about what other family members we had and if we had contact numbers for them. And then it all stopped and I was snapped back into the classroom. It was like hours had passed in under a minute. What felt like an hour for the person who told this story, it happens within just a minute. That is when I got home and I told my mother about this really weird thing that happened in class and how I suddenly thought about what would happen if I was an orphan. She asked me, was it just after 10 a.m? Such a weird thing to ask, right? Apparently, my parents had decided to take an unexpected trip into town. When they're heading there, that is when they met a truck came around a blind corner on the wrong side of the road. Luckily, my father managed to get the car up an embankment next to them. Another couple of seconds and the embankment would have been too high for the cars to climb up, leaving the car to be crushed. My mom said she just remembered thinking they were going to die, leaving us children with no parents. To add weirdness to the story, the person who posted this story said, I had never been in the principal's office ever. But in the split second of imagining that I was sent to the principal office, because after a year later, I got invited to receive an award. The layout of the principal's office was exactly how I have imagined it. So what do you think about these two stories about imagining or dreaming or thinking about stuff? I would love to hear your comment. Put it down below in the comment section. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and until the next episode.